Hi guys. So far we've got the shocks built, got the front end built, got the back end built. Now we're gonna go to the middle, where all the magic happens. So I'm gonna continue to clean all this stuff out of the way here because we just finished doing the back end. I'm gonna try to get the center section done tonight. That'll have the buggy pretty much ready other than setting the electronics in. And I'm debating on whether I'm going to do that tonight or wait till tomorrow because it's starting to get late. So I'm at least try to get the center section done tonight, and then we'll see what happens. For you guys, y'all can watch it right through. For me, I got to get sleep sometime. Alright guys, let's start with the center section. Alright, first thing we're going to start out is finally we're going to get our chassis plate in here. And then we're going to grab bag I out of the box. Get that right here. Bag I. All sorts of carbon fiber and shiny stuff in there. And black anodized. I recognize center diff mount. I recognize battery mount. Recognize a rear support. Cool. I'm excited to see how these supports work because we didn't have them on the prototypes. We had to make our own or buy the HB stuff and install it. Right, there we go. We got our bag of screws, bag of spacers of all different kinds here. All sorts of red anodized. I like that. Black and red, that's my deal. Been kind of nice if that chassis was black or red anodized. Alright. So, we're going to start off here. So we got M4s. We got 8 of them bad boys. They're 8 millimeters, so it's going to be all these bad boys here. So there's 4. There's 8 total. Cool. Alright, we got our Loctite ready. We got our M4 8s ready. Okay. Let me find my 2.5, which is what these are going to be. Yes, they are.
Get out of it.
Start my first screw. Thread locker on it. We're going to take our mount and support. Let's flip this bad boy around so I'm looking at it the same way as a computer. Okay. So this is going to mount here. Take and put my first screw through the bottom. I'll tighten it all the way up until I make sure I get a second screw in to make sure everything's centered up on the holes. We'll take our next one here. Thread lock. We'll line up the one furthest away. Alright. Those will line up. We aren't going to snug them down quite yet. We're going to make sure we get all of our holes in this bracket started first. Okay, something's not quite perfect. Most of the stuff I think we're going to bounce right through. There's not really a whole lot of setup stuff on here, so it's basically just going to be basic assembly. Alright, we're going to crank these center screws down first. Then we're going to crank down the outside screws. This is metal on metal, so I'm giving her the beans, guys, giving her the beans. Alright, so we got our sliding motor mount, center diff bracket. Then we're going to come over here. That's going to be this one here. Now, there's a raised flange on this thing, which is going to be the back side, I'm sure, because the bearing will sit inside here, and this kind of retains it. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera or not, with it being black anodized. It's kind of a lip there. So, just thread locker on the screw. There we go. This will go through this hole. Look towards the back. Not going to snug it up yet. Just run the screw most of the way in so we can get all the rest of the screws for that piece in there, which is just one more. Just 2 screws holding the bottom of this one in. Alright. Run that one in, not tight. That one's in. Get rid of the beans. Crank, crank. Alright. So now we got our front mount, flange, rear mount with the flange, so the bearing will sit in between. Gives it a nice bed to sit in. Alright. Next, hey, we get to set our center diff in there and put our upper brackets on. Here's our center diff. We built these in the second video, I believe. Yes, second video. Already got bearings on it, ready to go. So it's going to sit down in here nice and snug like so. Oh my goodness, that feels so much better than what the prototype did. The bearings are almost kind of gripped in there. Is that nice? Okay. So we've got our upper brackets here. We've got one that's got a half circle. And we got one that's got a third of a circle. So the half circle one's going to go on the back. And it's going to have the eyes facing back. And the one with a third of a circle is going to have the eyes facing the front, which also puts the flange in there correctly. Looks good from here. Alright, then we've got our carbon fiber top plate. Large part goes over the spur. And then we're going to have 1, 2, 3 really long screws. 3 really long screws. M330s, and then we're going to have an M310, which is a little short boy here. Okay. Those are all going to be 2mm. And we put thread locker on these. As I found with my prototype, if you don't put thread locker on the screws on the center diff, it is backing out, son, backing out. Alright, short screw is supposed to go in this hole here. Not going to tighten it up yet. Just ran it in to hold it into place while we line all the other holes up. Next screw. So the long boy. Long boy goes back here. Alright. Next. Another long boy. Thread locker. The long boy goes here. Let's see. Hold it and line up. Wasn't square, so I had to bump it a little bit. If I had been screwed tight, it probably wouldn't went in. That's why when you have multiple screws on something and you're mounting them to the same thing, just kind of don't tighten everything up as you're putting it together in the beginning. Just kind of make sure everything lines up, and then you come back in and you just take that last screw and you just snug each one down. Just a little snug, not a crank. And the last one that you snug down, start giving them the beans. Tighten them up, giving them a real good ugh. Run through carbon fiber. You can crank on it pretty good, but real good ugh or a ugh and a half will do pretty good. Alright, that's that one. Let's go to the next one. Alright, looks like we're going to do our battery mount here. Right? Yeah. So, looks like they're repurposing our steering rods also. Huh, that's neat. Okay, so we've got our carbon fiber battery hooks, front and rear. And so we're going to have an M420. It's going to be this bad boy here. Right, sorry, I'm just trying to make heads or tails out of what's going on here. Alright, so M420. I have a nut on it, so we don't want to. I know look at my other parts where my battery's not. Alright, so here's one of my batteries. So I'm going to have my battery not quite fully front. So when I look at the battery bracket, alright, so this screw is going to go through the front hole with the spacer on top. And that, then it gets a nut. So on my setup, the bracket's going to go in the forwardmost hole. Use a big nut driver. There we go. And we're going to have a M48. short ones left over. Thread locker. Little dabby dab. There's a square on the bottom of that, and I like my stuff squared up, so I'm going to make sure that it's square inside there. Okay, so we got this. Get the battery back on there, figure out where it needs to be. Alright, well, it's going to be the same. Full forward, full back. It's slotted, so let me make sure my battery fits in there before I go too much further. Slide that back just a hair. Battery should fit in there better now. Perfect. Rod goes in there. Put some thread locker on this bad boy. Alright, so now our front and our rear battery bracket, and I'm curious to see how this battery mount's going to work. Alright, that's it for that page. Next. Alright, so then we're going to put our center stop for battery in there, which is also carbon fiber. Get two more of the sleeve spacers in there. Two M420s and two nuts. So there'll be an M420 here, spacer, battery stop, I'm not going to fully tighten it yet, so we can do the same thing with the other one. Oh, desktop don't have much grip. So, spacer, kind of drive through, got a nut. Alright, so before I tighten that up, I'm going to put my battery in here. Check my side spacing. There's some adjustability there, so I'm pushed up against the side of the battery. Make sure the battery doesn't have wiggle room. That's what that's going to look like. That's my battery, enough room for the battery to put it in, take it out. That's what we want. Next page. Battery layout compatibility. Width adjustment. You run shorty packs if you want. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Next, we have our ESC mount. I'll have these 4 red nuts here. Kind of washer nuts. And I think we've got some O-rings on the bottom. Yep, we've got some O-rings on the bottom. 2, 3, 4. We got this plate. And then we got 4 screws. Those are probably going to be 2 millimeter. Yes, they are. So, we're going to put the screw in. Put the O-ring on. And we'll put these washer nuts in through the top. I was saying I want a thread locker on those two. I get the thread locker on now. Alright, don't tighten that up yet because I need to get the other ones in there and get these O-rings on. So, thread locker, O-ring in my hand, we're going to put the screw through the hole. Slide the O-ring on. We're going to put our little nut washer on there. The next one, we'll do the inside one, then we'll do the outside one. That inside one would be a little bit harder if we did the outside one first. Go through. Open up. Yeah. Let's see here. Let me try Casing. Okay. Looks like the O-rings may hold these things on there, so let's try that first. That in. O-ring will hold the screw. Spin it around. Try not to knock screws out the bottom. Which way not knock screws out the bottom? Ugh. Screw right there. Okay. I may not be able to see what I'm doing here, but I'm going to turn this thing up on its side so the screws don't pop out as easy. Trying to make gravity work for me here a little bit. There again, with anything, don't tighten everything up until you make sure that every single screw goes into a hole. Makes your life so much easier if something goes wrong. Alright, all 4 nuts are on there. Let me snug them up now. Wrench, tighten them down. Alright, that's the ESC mount. Kind of neat, huh? Got O-ring cushioning underneath it. Put them on some M3 screws. Pretty damn cool. A little bit of thread locker. Like I said, y'all couldn't really see what I was doing there because I had to hold it up. Alright, side skirts. Okay, car came with black side skirts. There again. I got the yellow side skirts. Because I like to do things a little different. My car don't look like everybody else's. Okay, skirts go on there, bam bam, just like that. Actually, alright, bam bam, okay, like that. So, bag K. Oh, bag K. Okay, bag K. See, had black. Once you go black, you never go back. Wrong. Prefer yellow. Oh, I'm liking this. We're actually getting into nearing the finish. Alright, we got our diff spacers right here. We've got our stainless steel skid plates go on the bottom of the car, right here. A bag of screws. And a couple of your O-rings. I don't know what those are for yet. I didn't see the O-rings on the prototype build. Alright, so now we got all of our side skirt screws. And it does tell us to use thread locker. I was about to say, I learned the hard way to use thread locker on these. Had some screws try to make a grand escape. Don't tighten everything up yet. Okay, scroll's not lining up. Imagine that. Okay, go to the next hole, see if that one will line up. Yep. That one started and it looks like it pulled the other one in. Good. Somebody just changed the order. Snug them down, one at a time. Sorry. Just putting in screws, got a little quiet there. Not really a whole lot for tuning or any special stuff in this part of the build. It's just going through the paces, putting in screws in holes with thread locker on them. I can sit here and brag about my yellow parts and stuff like that, but I'm not going to do that. Nice thing about the customizing of these cars, you can get these parts in different colors. Yellow and black aren't the only options. Got one of my local people here who runs orange on his car. Not sure the other colors. I think there's a blue. I saw a red. But here locally at our local track that I'm the RD for, we do night races during the week sometimes. And I just like the bright colors so I can see them at night. I'm getting older, my eyes ain't the greatest in the world, and just want to be able to see what I'm doing. Not just that, but it's easier to drive fast when you can see your car. And when you put these sides on, a couple of these screws are different. So they got some pin heads on there, and they got a couple of these fluted screws on there, chamfered screws. recess screws, whatever you like to call them, flush mounts. Right about where the ESC goes. I don't know what the thought was in that, other than maybe just to keep the wires from getting chewed up, I guess. Which makes sense. JQ's smart. He figured this stuff out. Alright, so this thing looking like a buggy. Looking like a buggy. Get a lot closer. Alright. Next, bell crank. Bag J servo saver. Bag J. We just have bags with like 900 parts in it. We use 5 parts out of it and then go on to the next bag, I guess. Every car build I've ever done has been like that. Got a whole tabletop full of parts and got to pick through them to figure out which ones you need at a certain time. Alright, so it's going to be all of our bell crank stuff, servo saver, blah 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 blah. Oh, that's not a Ziploc. That was a Ziploc I was trying to open the top of. Tear in. Be aggressive. Alright, there we go. So, we've got our servo saver stuff. With a high torque metal case steering servo, most drivers use the no servo saver option. Run the servo saver with screw type hinge pin, fully tighten and back off the nut, half turn, giving a measurement of 4.4 millimeter from the end of the thread to the nut underside. No servo saver option for a more precise steering feel. I don't know. I don't really know where a servo saver really does much, because we normally have them cranked down really tight. They don't really give much give. I mean, they at least gave one with a clamping nut on there. I think I'm just still going to go with the servo saver. Servos are expensive, and if it does do a little bit's better than nothing. So, let's take our center shaft that you see on the left side of the screen and the breakdown. There's going to be a bearing that goes on the top of it. Yep. And then we've got our sort of nut sleeve here, like so. Have that facing me. And we got our servo saver section there. So we kind of at a 90-degree angle, like so. See that? Like so. And then it's showing a spring, which is here. Oh, this is the part that I hate. I hate trying to get that nut all the way down on there. Alright, so before I put that nut on there, put a bearing in the end of this thing. I'll like never get that on later. Alright, got our spring. Set that down. Now there's supposed to be a small screw for this, and they're wanting thread locker on that, so we're going to put thread locker on that. That goes in there. This is 2.0. That's going to be a 1.5. 1.5 screw. Run that in just far enough to where it's touching and not clamping. And then we get to try to be Superman, because we have to press this spring down to here with this nut and get this nut to thread. Any car build I've ever done, it's been a pain in the ass. Oh, whoa, that went right on there. What? What? You gotta be kidding me. That was the easiest one I've ever done. It literally went straight down on there. Run the servo saver with screw tight hinge pin. Fully tighten and back off the nut a half a turn, giving a measurement of 4.4 millimeters to the end. Okay, that's fully tight. We'll give it 1/2 turn. Okay, it's on there. Let me tighten up the clamp. Clamp's tight. Okay, now we got that. Alright, so we got a 15 millimeter screw. This one here. Recess washer. Up through the bottom. Try not to get off camera too much here. So run this all the way up into the plastic, and then we go to our steering ball. Goes on top. Put a little dab of TL on there, a little bit of blue. Tighten it up like a nut on top. Alright, nice tight. So, bell crank, bearing top, bottom, spring inside of it, and your steering ball. And then we've got our sleeve up through the bottom. Got our bell crank towards the back of the car, right? And we've got them 3x12. You got a thread locker on there. Go through here. This will go into this. Oh, make sure it goes on the other side. Right. That goes on that side. Got it right first time. Alright. Then we got our other bell crank here. Sleeve goes up in the bottom. And we're going to put some thread locker on the other screw. Go through that hole there, and it's going to go through that hole there into that threaded bushing. Tighten it up real tight. Some lugs, and then we're going to put a bearing in the top and the bottom of this bad boy. Alright, so that's usually a bell crank assembly right there. It's done. Alright, next page. Now we get to mount everything. Cool. We got two M48s. Which are going to be these little shorties here. Yeah, got to be those shorties there. Oh, he's going to get a little bit of thread locker. A little dabby dab, a little blue. It's going to go that way, so. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put the steering post on first. Nice little square cutouts in the chassis for these things to tighten up on so I can snug them down without having to put a wrench on anything and damage it. Snug, really tight. Whoa, I'm trying to throw things at myself. Alright, so both steering posts are in. Looks like that's going to go down on there, that's going to go down on there, sit down in there. steering bell crank is in. And we're gonna, hey, we're gonna put some diffs on this bad boy. Alright. Let us start out with the front. So, front we're going to set down into place. And I'm going to put a spacer. Millimeter spacer out of the front diff. Alright, so we'll have a couple of screws here and 310s. The thread locker on these bad boys. This will get us started. Don't tighten it up yet. Just put screws in there, get them started really good. Work our way down. A little bit more, a little bit more. Alright, I'm going to crank it. Crank. And nope, don't want to do that yet. I saw put that dog bone in there. Let's see what those red O-rings were for now. They want me to put them on the dog bone. Let me find it. That a little bit. Alright, so long dog bone here. They want me to take an O-ring. Put it on the end of the diff. However, that's going to work out. Work it on the inside of the diff cup. Okay. Now we just put these screws back in. Flip this up. Oh. Got 1mm spacers gonna go underneath. It'll go in there. Slid out. Alright, so we're going to line up the holes. M420, M416, M420s. The longer ones, they're going to go towards the front. M16s, they're going to go towards the back. We're going to start with the back ones. Put the skid plate on there. See, and even in the picture right there, it don't show that there's a wing mounted on that rear diff yet, which it was telling me to put it on in the last video. And I was like, I don't understand why you put a wing on before you put everything together. But okay. Not my first rodeo. There's more stuff that I thought needed to be put on before we made it to that point. The wing would have been all up in the way trying to do the rest of this assembly. I know you can't see this on camera, but I'm just putting the skid plate on the bottom of the front. Putting the shorter screws. The back of the diff case. Alright guys, I didn't put the front ones on yet. Just put the back screws in. It's got a skid plate on it. It's a 1mm spacer. That's the front. So I've got a yellow bumper to put on the front of this thing. Again, yellow parts available from Mayako. And loosen backwards up just a little bit to get that front bumper in there. Front bumper slides between the chassis and the diff case, just like so. So I'm going to tighten these back screws back up again. Everything will clamp together. Then we got the longer screws, so it'll go through skid plate, front of the chassis, front bumper, and into the diff case. Oh, and the spacer. It goes to the spacer too. All right. Front bumper. Shit, this thing's starting to look like a buggy now. All right. I'm gonna try to do put the rear on. Probably be a little bit easier, I would hope. All right, so the skid plate has a cutout section in the chassis it sits in. Just kind of slides in there. All right. Rear diff spacer has a notch in it. So hopefully this SOB will stay in place while I try to screw it down. Looks like it will. Oh, I'm going to put the O-ring in the center diff. Get it set in place like so. Take the dog bone, set it on that side. Take this side of the dog bone. On that side. Line up the holes like that. We got a longer screw go towards the back. Another M4x20 goes in the back. Requires a little bit of pressure and turning to get that bad boy started, but once it goes, it goes. Alright, the back ones are in. I'll put the front ones in. I believe we're 59 pages into the installation manual, the assembly manual. Kind of nuts, huh? Here's some long screws to screw in when they're tough to screw in. That's the one bit I need to get from my driver. This will make this so much easier. I think I've got one somewhere. I just haven't seen it in a little bit. one thing when they're threaded holes or they're soft plastic. It's another thing when you get to crank these things through rigid plastic. There's no thread holes. Here we go. I think we're finally getting it. The second one. Go through and make sure all these diff screws are tight. Ooh. Make sure all four of these are nice and got a little other on them things. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Alright. All of my hexes are turning, guys. Hell yeah. And they're all turning in the right direction. None of them are flipped. Alright, what's the next page? Alright. See what we got going on here. Steering lights. Center braces. Alright. How far in are we? We're an hour. Okay, so I'm going to end the video for tonight. Tomorrow morning I'll get up and I'll do the steering and all the other stuff. I've still got to do electronics. I think I'm going to do a soldering video. I've got new electronics I'm putting in this thing, so it's going to be setting an ESC, soldering a motor, sensor wires, doing the setup on a Hobby Wing, a new Hobby Wing ESC with a Wi-Fi control, stuff like that. So stick around. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to finish the steering, finish the center supports. We're going to be installing a new kit. These are the pins for the battery that are going to get soldered in. It's going to be a full service build. Like I said, I'm going to try to teach as much as I can and pass on the information that I can, because information for all of us makes more competition for the rest of us. Alright guys, y'all have a good night and see y'all in the next video.